to that high-stakes case in Wisconsin. Jurors about to start day 3 of deliberations in the Kyle Rittenhouse homicide trial after a stunning turn of events yesterday that included defense attorneys demanding a mistrial. Terry Moran has been tracking the latest for us there in Kenosha. Terry, good morning.
Good morning, TJ. Day 3 of deliberations, and it's clear that in the jury room, the jurors are carefully sifting the evidence, while in the courtroom, the lawyers are still fighting. This morning, a new twist in the trial of Kyle Rittenhouse as the jury begins its 3rd day of deliberations.
I'm going to be asking the court for a mistrial. We have to ask for this, and I'm asking for it.
A new request for a mistrial as the jury considers the 5 charges the 18-year-old defendant faces for the killing of 2 men and badly injuring another in the wake of protests last year. If convicted on the most serious charge, Rittenhouse faces a life sentence. On Wednesday, the defense claimed that the state provided them with a blurry, low-quality version of this drone footage, which was discovered after the trial began. The prosecutors attributed it to an inadvertent technical mistake. During closing arguments, prosecutors used this footage to argue that Kyle Rittenhouse provoked the crowd last August, dropping a fire extinguisher and raising his AR-15 rifle, becoming a threat to others. The defense argued he acted in self-defense. All this comes as Judge Bruce Schroeder took time in court to defend his long-standing practice of allowing defendants, including Kyle Rittenhouse, to randomly pick numbers that determine the jury that will decide his fate.
I never had a complaint about it before, but some people seem to be dissatisfied with that, and people who want to undermine the result of the trial.
Judge Schroeder also questioned if he will ever allow cameras in his court again.
I will tell you this. I'm going to think long and hard about live television of a trial again next time.
Overnight, 2 protesters were arrested outside the courtroom where reporters have largely outnumbered demonstrators. But the state is preparing the Wisconsin National Guard on standby in case they're needed post-verdict. Jurors have asked to see a lot of the video evidence in this case, and there's a lot of it. They want to decide for themselves in their deliberation what happened out on that street. It's clear they are taking their responsibilities seriously. TJ?
All right, Terry Moran for us. And clearly we have a lot of questions because as soon as you sit down, we start grilling you here before we even get on the air. But do tell us, Travis McMichael is taking the stand. How did he do? Were you surprised to see him take the stand?
You know, of the 3 defendants, he's the one I would have expected was most likely to take the witness stand. I'm not that surprised because this is such a tough case for the defense. And this really may be their best hope. Because what he wants to do is have the jurors focus just on the moment when they're supposedly fighting over the gun, as opposed to everything else leading up to that moment. That's why I wasn't that surprised to see him. I think as a witness, he seemed calm and collected. He cried at the right times, etc. Some of the substance is a little bit troubling. I mean, for example, he says that de-escalation, as far as he's concerned, can involve lifting and raising and pointing a gun at someone. It's an unusual effort at de-escalation. Look, the substance is the problem for them. This is a tough defense, and I think they know it, but that's why I wasn't that surprised to see him testify.
But do you think the other defendants will testify?
Not necessarily. I think that he's the most likely one of the 3. They could, but again, because he's the one who actually had the fight over the gun, makes him the most likely one, because self-defense cases are the ones where you most likely see a defendant take the witness stand, because they want to explain exactly what they were thinking, why they were doing it, etc. at that moment.
How about this move for a mistrial in the Kyle Rittenhouse case?
I'm really surprised about this, not because it's a mistrial motion, but because they're now willing to make a mistrial motion without prejudice, meaning there could be a retrial. Up to this point, the defense has been saying, look, we want a mistrial, but we don't want them to be able to prosecute him again. Now they're saying, we want a mistrial. It's a real issue that they're raising here, but we want a mistrial, but if it's a retrial, that would be okay. That's unusual.
Is this a sign that they're worried?
Well, see, that's what I'm starting to think, is I start to think that at the end of day 2 of deliberations, they're getting a little nervous now. As we talked about yesterday, if this had been a 1-day deliberation, I think that people would have thought good news for the defense. The longer you go, the more it suggests that either the jury is having issues or maybe they're going through and figuring out which counts, etc. Tough to know, but tough call.
Interesting. Yeah. Always appreciate your insight and analysis. Thank you, Dan. Well, hey. Hey there, GMA fans. Robin Roberts here. Thanks for checking out our YouTube channel. Lots of great stuff here. So go on, click the subscribe button right over here to get more of awesome videos and content from GMA every day, anytime. We thank you for watching, and we'll see you in the morning on GMA.